The night was quiet, too quiet for her heart. The wind moved through the broken windows of the small stone house, carrying a cold sound that almost felt like whispers. Inside the dark room, an alien mother sat on the floor, her long hands holding an old cradle, rocking it back and forth even though it was empty. She sang softly, her voice low. Her song was full of pain, the kind of song that can make even the stars listen. She sang to the cradle as if her baby was still there, as if her daughter could still hear her. The cradle creaked with every movement. The sound of wood rubbing against wood mixed with her song. Her eyes were red from too many tears, her body thin from too many sleepless nights. Her people had lost many children during the last season, some to sickness, some to raids, some to things even darker. And she had lost her only child, her baby girl, the one she loved more than life. Every night she returned to this cradle. Every night she sang the same song. She told herself that maybe her daughter's spirit still lingered. Maybe the song reached the other side. Maybe the baby would know her mother still waited. The village outside was silent. Homes built from stone and wood stood like ghosts under the silver light of 2 moons. Smoke no longer rose from many chimneys. Too many families were gone, too many cradles empty. But tonight felt different. She did not know why. The air felt heavy, as if it carried secrets. The shadows outside seemed to move. The silence did not feel safe. It felt alive. She placed one hand on the cradle, her long fingers brushing the fabric where her baby once slept. She closed her eyes and whispered her name, a name spoken like prayer. Then she heard it, a sound that froze her. It was small at first, almost nothing. A soft crunch of steps on dry leaves. Her heart pounded, her head turned to the window. No one from the village would walk at this hour. Only danger walked at this hour. Her people told stories of humans, outsiders who came from the stars. Stories said they were cruel, that they stole, that they killed, that they cared nothing for alien life. Humans were monsters in her mind. She hated them without ever seeing one, because she had heard enough. The sound came again. Closer this time, she rose to her feet, her eyes sharp, her body tense. She was ready to defend her home even if she was weak. She looked around for something to hold. A stick, a stone, anything. The wind blew harder, carrying a new sound. A faint cry. She froze again, her ears twitched. It could not be, no. It was impossible, yet it was real. It was the sound of a baby crying. Her chest tightened. Her mind screamed that it could not be her daughter. Her daughter was gone, lost forever, and yet the sound was there, soft, muffled, like a memory brought to life. She ran to the doorway, her breath shaking. The night outside seemed endless. The trees moved like shadows with arms. She searched with her eyes, trying to find the source of the sound. Then she saw it, a tall figure stepping out of the dark. The figure was not from her people. The shape was different. Broad shoulders, straight body, 2 strong arms holding something close to the chest. Her heart filled with rage. She knew at once this was a human. The monster from the stories, the enemy, the reason so many had suffered. Her hands curled into claws, her voice low with anger. But then she saw what he carried, wrapped in a cloth. Something small, something moving, and then the cry again. Clear this time, a baby's cry. Her body went weak, her mind spun. It sounded like her daughter's cry, the same sound she used to hear in this very cradle. The sound that had haunted her dreams. The human stepped closer, his face tired, his eyes strange. Not cruel, not kind, just tired. The cloth in his arms moved and a tiny hand pushed through. Reaching out into the cold air, the mother staggered back, her song still in her throat, her voice trembling. Was this a trick? Was this real? Could her daughter be alive? The human stopped a few steps away. The baby's cry filled the silent village. Louder now, stronger now, it was the cry of life. The mother's eyes filled with tears. Her body shook. She wanted to run forward. She wanted to attack. She wanted to fall to her knees. She wanted to believe, but fear held her back. The empty cradle behind her creaked as if it remembered, as if it too waited for the truth. The night held its breath. The world seemed to pause, and in that silence stood the human, holding the child. The mother whispered her baby's name once more. Her voice breaking, the baby's cry answered, and her heart almost stopped. Could it be, had her child returned? Or was this the cruelest trick of all? The night offered no answer, only suspense. Only the sound of a cradle that rocked though no hand touched it. Only the sound of a baby crying in the arms of a stranger. And so the story began. The figure stepped into the pale light of the moons, tall, heavy with shadows. A shape both strange and familiar, it was a human. The kind she had only seen in fearful stories told around fire. his face rough with lines, his clothes torn from travel, his steps heavy as if the ground itself pulled at him. In his arms he carried something wrapped in old cloth, pressed close to his chest, his grip tight like a protector or like a thief. The mother's body stiffened, her heart a storm of rage and hope, her hands ready to strike, her eyes burning with fear. Humans, the story said, had no mercy. They took, they destroyed. They laughed at alien tears. Every instinct told her to scream, to fight, to drive him back into the forest. But then came the sound, soft, sharp, undeniable. A baby's cry rose from the bundle, weak but alive, and her heart twisted. Her legs felt like stone. The cry cut through her anger like light breaking through darkness. Her claws lowered, not from trust but from shock. Her mind raced. Could it be a trick? A stolen child from another family? Or could it be her own daughter, the one she had buried only in grief, never in truth? The human stopped a few steps away. His eyes lifted to hers. There was no weapon in his hands, only the child. His voice broke the silence. Rough, low, full of dust and distance, I found her, he said. The words strange in her language, clumsy but clear. She was alone, she was crying, I could not leave her. Her heart slammed inside her chest. The voice of the human did not sound cruel. It did not sound like the monster from the old stories. But words could lie. She could not trust them, not yet. She demanded with a trembling voice. Why would you bring her here? What do you want from me? What do you want from us? The human shook his head. His arms rocking the bundle softly, the baby stirred. A tiny hand reached through the cloth, fingers curling like petals searching for the sun. The sound of life so small, so fragile, yet stronger than any wall of hate. She is yours, the human said. His eyes lowering, almost bowing. I only kept her safe. I bring her home, the mother gasped. Her knees almost breaking, her voice caught in her throat. She wanted to believe, she wanted to scream. She wanted to take the child and never let go. But fear burned her hope. Her people's voices echoed in her mind. Humans are liars. Humans are poison. If she touched the child and it was not her daughter, her heart would break again. If she touched the child and it was her daughter, her hate would break instead. She whispered the baby's name, the one she had sung to the empty cradle night after night. Her voice cracked and the bundle moved. The baby's cry rose, louder, sharper, answering the name, as if the sound of her mother's call reached straight into her small soul. The mother's tears spilled, she staggered forward. But her claws still half raised, she stretched her hands, shaking, not sure if she should take the bundle or strike the human. The human stepped closer, his breath heavy, his body bent as if carrying a great weight. His arms stretched out and the cloth fell open. The child's face shone under the silver moons. Tiny eyes blinking, lips trembling, her skin the color of her mother's kind, not human at all. Her mark, her child, her daughter. The mother fell to her knees, her hands covering her mouth. A cry tearing from her chest. It was her baby, alive, warm, crying, reaching for her. Her heart soared. Her hate cracked, but her fear remained. She looked at the human again. Why did you keep her? Why did you not kill her? Why give her back? The human's eyes darkened with memory. He pulled back the sleeve of his arm, showing scars, long, burned, old. Not all humans, he said, his voice breaking. Not all humans are the same. The mother stared at the scars, her heart torn, her mind drowning in questions. If not all humans were monsters, then the stories were lies. If this man had risked himself for her baby, then what was he? The cradle behind her creaked as the wind touched it. The sound reminded her of every night she had sung to emptiness, every night she had begged for a miracle. Tonight the miracle stood before her, wrapped in cloth, carried by the one she feared most. But outside the village stirred, shadows of neighbors drawn by the baby's cry. Footsteps approached, voices whispered. Soon the others would see the human, and they would not hesitate. They would kill him. The mother clutched the baby to her chest, her tears falling on the tiny face. Her song rising again, but this time mixed with terror. Mixed with choice, she had her daughter back. But the price was standing before her. A human who could not stay. The night grew heavy again, danger closing in. The mother's eyes burned with a single question. Should she protect the human who saved her child, or let the village destroy him? The baby cried louder, as if demanding an answer, as if the child already knew that her life was tied to the human's fate. And in that moment the mother's hate and love collided. The cradle creaked once more. The night held its breath, and the story moved deeper into darkness. The baby's cry filled the night, echoing across the silent village. Neighbors whispered outside, their shadows creeping closer. But inside the small stone house, the world had shrunk to 3 figures: a mother, a child, and a human. The mother held her daughter close now, her arms trembling, her voice shaking, tears wetting her child's tiny skin. She could not believe it. After endless nights of singing to emptiness, the cradle was no longer empty. Her daughter lived. She breathed, she cried, she reached. But questions burned inside her like fire. How was her baby alive? How had a human come to hold her? What truth lay hidden behind his scarred arms and tired eyes? The human sank to the floor as if his strength was broken, as if carrying the child so far had drained his life. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He kept his hands open, showing no threat, showing only surrender. "I found her," he said again, his words rough, his voice carrying the weight of distance and danger. "They had taken her, not I only saved her. I kept her safe." The mother's ears twitched. Her body stiff, her mind screamed with suspicion. Who were they? What enemy was cruel enough to steal children? What enemy was worse than humans? Her voice cracked as she asked, "Where? Where did you find her? Tell me now." The human's eyes closed for a moment, as if memory cut him, as if the truth was a wound he could not hide. "In the ruins, far from here. I heard her cry in the night. I followed the sound. She was left alone, weak, almost gone. I could not leave her." His words painted a picture in her mind. Her baby lying cold and abandoned in some broken place, crying into the darkness, waiting for death, waiting for her mother, waiting for anyone. And it was not her people who came. It was not her gods. It was a human. Her claws tightened around her daughter, fear mixing with rage. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would a human save an alien child? Why would you not kill her? Why risk your life? What do you want?" The human lifted his scarred arm again, the marks glowing under the moonlight, lines burned deep into his flesh, marks of fire, torture, survival. "Because I know their cruelty," he said, his voice breaking. "Because I was once their prisoner too." The mother's breath caught. Her heart skipping, she stared at the scars, old and ugly, not marks of pride but of pain, not lies but history written on skin. Her mind trembled, stories of humans crumbled inside her. The monsters she had hated all her life suddenly had faces, voices, scars. Maybe some were still monsters, but this one, this broken one, was not. But she still asked, her voice sharp, "Who are they? Who stole my daughter? Who would do such a thing?" The human's eyes grew dark, his voice lowered. "Hunters, not human, not of your people. A race that takes children, experiments on them, feeds on their fear. They move in shadows, they leave no trace, no body. Only grief." The mother staggered, her knees weakening, her world shifting. Her people had blamed sickness. They had blamed fate. They had blamed humans. But the truth was darker. Her child was not taken by disease, not lost by accident. Her child was stolen by something far worse. She clutched her baby tighter, her voice turning into a growl. "Why should I believe you? Why should I not call my people and let them end you here?" The human's face bent with pain, but he did not move, he did not beg, he only whispered, "Because your daughter lives, and she lives because I carried her. I gave her food, I gave her warmth, I gave her my strength when I had none left. If you kill me, the truth dies with me and the hunters will come again." The cradle in the corner rocked with the wind, creaking as if it too listened, as if it too wanted to know the truth. The baby stirred in her arms, her tiny fingers curling around her mother's hand, her small cry softening as if she knew safety at last, as if she trusted the moment. The mother's eyes blurred with tears, her hate clashing with gratitude, her fear clashing with hope. This human, this stranger, had given her daughter back, but also given her a truth too heavy to bear. Outside, the neighbors gathered, their voices rising. "Bring the human out," they shouted. "Kill the thief! Kill the monster!" Their feet stamped, their anger grew. The mother stood between the human and the door, her body trembling. Her people would not understand. They would not listen. They would only see a human holding a child, and they would strike without mercy. Her voice shook as she looked at him. "If what you say is true, if my daughter lives because of you, then you are no monster, but if you lie, I will tear your heart out myself." The human nodded, his head bowed, his voice steady. "Then let the truth decide, not my words, not your fear." "But the truth!" The baby cried again, louder, her voice echoing against the stone walls, as if demanding silence from the crowd outside, as if calling them to listen. The mother's heart thundered. She knew the next moment would decide everything, trust or death, belief or rage, truth or lies. The night hung heavy. The cradle stood still. The crowd shouted, and the human waited, scars open, hands empty, life balanced on the edge of a mother's choice. And in that fragile pause, the truth stood naked before them all. The baby's cry had drawn the village. Shadows pressed against the doorway. Whispers turned into angry voices. The mother could hear them, their steps, their fear, their rage. And in the middle of it all, the human sat still, his hands open, his body weary, while the mother stood between him and her people, her child pressed tightly to her chest. "Bring him out," one villager shouted, his voice sharp like a blade. "He carries the stink of blood. He is a thief, a monster," another voice cried. "He will take more of our children. And him now." The mother's heart pounded. Her body shook. Her claws itched to protect her baby. But her mind burned with the truth she had just heard. If the human spoke true, if hunters from the dark stole children, then killing him would silence the only one who knew. But if he lied, then she would be shielding a monster in her own home. The human looked at her, his eyes heavy but calm. "They will not trust me," he whispered. "Not unless you speak. Not unless you stand before them." Her throat tightened. Her breath weak. She had never defended a human. She had never even seen one before tonight, and now she was ready to risk everything for one. Her people would call her mad. Her people would call her traitor. The door shuddered as fists pounded against it. "Open," they shouted, "or we break it down." The baby whimpered. Sensing the storm of voices, her small hand clutched at her mother's chest. The mother rocked her gently, whispering the lullaby she had sung to an empty cradle for so long, her song trembling, breaking, but still there. The human listened, his head lowered, his eyes closing. The song washed over him like a memory from a world he had never known. A mother's voice, fragile and strong. The mother's mind spun. If she stepped aside, the human would die, and maybe her daughter would be lost again. If she fought her own people, she would tear her world apart. But maybe that was the price of truth. She turned her head, her voice breaking through the door. "Wait," she shouted. "He is not what you think. He is not the thief. He brought my child back. He saved her." The voices outside fell into silence for a breath, then rose again, louder. "Lies. No human saves. They destroy. They twist your mind. He has bewitched you." The mother's anger burned, her eyes fierce. "Would I lie about my own child? Would I hold my daughter again if not for him? He carried her through the dark. He kept her alive. She breathes because of him." A hush came, but not peace. Suspicion lingered. One voice whispered, "If she speaks true, then why? Why would a human risk himself for us?" The human spoke then, his voice low but strong enough to reach the door. "Because I know what hunts you. Because I know what steals your children. Because I have seen it. And I will see it again if we do nothing." The crowd stirred, fear mixing with doubt. Their stories had always blamed humans. Their rage had always been pointed at the outsiders. But his words carried scars. His scars carried proof. The mother stepped forward. The baby still in her arms, she opened the door just enough for the villagers to see. Not the human at first, but the child, alive, warm, crying. Her tiny fingers clutching her mother's skin, gasps filled the night, eyes widened. Whispers broke the crowd. "It is her child," one said. "She lives," another breathed. "But how?" The mother's voice rose. "Steady now. She lives because he carried her. She lives because he gave her warmth. You want to kill him, but without him, she would be nothing but a memory, nothing but a ghost in my song." The villagers looked past her then, their eyes landing on the human. Their hands tightened on stones and sticks, their bodies trembling, not with courage but with fear, fear of the unknown.
"He lies," an elder spat, his voice rough.
"He brings the child only to gain trust. Tomorrow he will take more, tomorrow he will kill. We cannot let him live." The human did not rise, did not reach for a weapon. He only placed his hand on his chest, bowing his head. "If my death brings you peace, then strike me, but know this, when the hunters return, your children will vanish again and I will not be there to bring them back." The silence was heavy. The villagers looked at one another. Their hate fought with their fear. Their doubt fought with their rage. The mother's heart thundered. She knew the hunters were real now. She could see it in the human's scars. She could feel it in the way he spoke, and she knew killing him would blind them all. Her voice broke again, softer now, but carrying weight. "If you kill him, you kill the truth. If you kill him, you kill hope. I will not let you touch him. Not while my daughter breathes in my arms." She spread her wings wide, her claws ready not against the human, but against her own people. The villagers froze, their weapons lowered. They had never seen her so fierce, so certain. The baby cried again, louder, stronger, the sound echoing through the night like a command, like a voice bigger than her small body. And in that moment the village wavered. The tension stretched. One step could shatter it into blood. One word could bend it into trust. The cradle behind her rocked again with the wind, as if it waited, as if it too knew the choice had not yet been made. The mother's body shook. The human's eyes stayed low. The villager's hands trembled. The world stood on the edge of a blade, waiting to see which side would cut first. The night air grew heavy, the crowd outside still frozen. Torn between hate and doubt, the mother stood firm, her daughter pressed against her chest. Her wings spread wide, her voice echoing with fury, and behind her the human waited, silent, scarred, his fate balanced on the edge of fear. Then a sound broke the standstill. Not from the crowd, not from the cradle, but from far beyond the village, a low hum, deep and cold, like the earth itself groaning. The villagers stiffened, their eyes snapping to the forest, their whispers turning to gasps. The human's head jerked up, his body tense, his voice urgent. "They are coming," he whispered. "The hunters. They have found us," the mother's breath caught. Her blood iced. She clutched her baby tighter, her mind screaming. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to believe it was only wind, but the sound grew louder, closer, steady like a drum of doom. The villagers panicked, their anger melting into terror. "What is that?" one shouted. "A storm, a beast. No, it is them. It is the shadow takers." The human pushed himself to his feet, his body weak but his eyes burning. "Listen to me now," he commanded, his voice cutting through fear. "They hunt your children. They will take more. They do not care for you, only for their experiments. I have seen it. I have lived it. Your hate for me will not save you, but your unity might." The villagers trembled, their weapons shook in their hands. They were hunters of beasts, farmers of soil, but they had never faced the true hunters from the void. The mother's claws dug into the cradle's edge as she set her baby down. Her heart breaking, but her child was safer there. Wrapped in the shadows of home, she turned to the human, her voice fierce. "If this is true, if they come for my daughter again, then we fight." The human nodded once, his eyes sharp. "We fight," he said, "or we vanish." The crowd roared in confusion, some still shouting to kill him, others now begging for his guidance. The elder's voice cracked with fear. "What proof? What proof do you give us that this is not your trick?" The proof came in a flash. The sky above split open with a streak of light, not like lightning but like fire dragged across the heavens. It landed beyond the trees. The ground shuddered. A boom rolled through the night, and the hum turned into a scream. Shapes moved in the forest, tall, slender, too fast, too silent, their eyes glowing pale, their bodies bending like smoke and bone. The hunters had arrived. The villagers cried out, their stones and sticks worthless against the shapes. One by one they stepped back, their courage broken, their fear swallowing them whole. The human grabbed a burning torch from the wall, its fire flickering across his scarred face. "They hate the light," he shouted. "Use fire, use heat. Drive them back." The mother snatched another torch, her claws gripping tight, her eyes fierce. "Stand with me," she cried to her people, "or watch your children vanish." The hunters closed in, their voices like whispers of knives, their claws reaching, their shadows stretching. One lunged for the cradle, but the mother swung her torch. Fire crackling, the creature hissed, recoiled, its body twisting in rage. The villagers gasped. Then one by one they lifted torches, pulling them from walls, from hearths. Flames rising into the night, the village glowed, fear turning into desperate courage. The human fought beside them, his torch burning, his voice guiding. "Strike together, never alone. Keep the fire between you and them," he shouted, his body moving with practiced strength, every motion sharp, every strike born from memory of survival. The hunters shrieked, their pale eyes narrowing. They slashed but met fire. They lunged but met walls of light. Their whispers grew louder, angrier, the air thick with their hunger. The mother's heart thundered as she fought, her torch a weapon, her voice a roar, her daughter's cry behind her, a reminder of what she fought for. Every step, every strike was for the cradle that once stood empty, and now lived again. But the hunters were many, too many, and the fire was small. The village was weak. The mother knew it, the human knew it, the crowd knew it. This was not victory. This was survival. A fragile hold against a storm that would not end. The elder's voice cracked with terror. "We cannot win, we must flee, we must hide." The human turned. his eyes burning. You cannot hide. They will always find you. The only path is forward. To fight, to burn brighter, to stand together. The mother's voice joined his, strong, unshaking. If we run, our children will vanish. If we fight, at least they have a chance. I will not run. Not again. The villagers looked at her, their fear colliding with her fire. And slowly, step by step, they began to stand firm, their torches rising higher, their eyes hardening. The hunters circled. Their whispers filled the night, but the village was no longer silent. It burned with light, with fire, with fragile hope. The cradle rocked gently behind the mother, the baby's cry soft now, almost calm, as if the child knew her people were no longer broken, as if she knew the fight had just begun. And in that moment, with the hunters pressing, with the fire rising, with the world trembling, the true threat was clear. Not the human, not the stories, but the hunters who thrived in the dark, who would never stop until all cradles were empty. The mother's eyes met the humans, and for the first time there was no hate, only war shared between them. The night was not over, the battle was not won, but the truth was revealed. The greater threat had come, and it would not leave until blood or fire decided who would survive. The fire burned bright in the village, but the hunters pressed harder, their pale eyes flashing through the smoke, their bodies sliding like shadows through the trees. The torches held them back, but only for a moment. The mother knew it, the human knew it, the villagers felt it in their bones. The baby's cry rose again from the cradle, small, frightened. The sound cut through the chaos like a blade. One hunter hissed, its head snapping toward the sound. Its body lunged, but the mother roared. Her torch sweeping in fire, the creature recoiled, shrieking. The human's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. They will not stop. They want the child. You must move now. Take her and go. I will hold them. The mother's claws shook. Her heart torn. You cannot stand alone. They will kill you, she shouted, her voice wild. But his eyes burned with a truth she could not deny. Still, she would not leave him, not now. Not after he had brought her daughter back. Then we go together, she said. Her voice iron, her wings spreading wide. We fight, we flee, but not apart. The human nodded once, his face grim. Then follow me, he said, and he turned into the dark, into the shadows where the hunters came, his torch blazing. The mother scooped her baby into her arms, her song trembling in her throat. She ran after him, her feet striking the earth, her wings folded tight, the cradle left rocking behind, empty once more but no longer forgotten. The villagers shouted behind them. Some tried to follow, some stayed to guard the flames. The elder's voice broke with fear, but the mother did not listen. Her ears were full of her child's cries and the hunter's whispers. The forest closed around them, tall trees bending like giants, roots clawing at the earth. The hunters moved within it, pale glimmers of eyes flashing from trunk to trunk, voices like broken glass whispering in the dark. The human moved with purpose, his steps sure, his hand gripping the torch like a weapon. Every turn, every twist, he seemed to know the path. The mother realized this was not the first time he had run from them. She asked through her breath, "Where are you leading us?" Her voice low. "Where can we hide from them?" His answer was sharp. "We do not hide. We move to the ruins. Their machines are weaker there. The stones break their signals. The shadows confuse them if we can reach it. We live." The mother glanced back. Shapes darted between trees. Fast, too fast, her chest tightened. Her baby whimpered. She whispered the lullaby again, low and shaky, to keep her daughter calm. To keep herself steady, one hunter leapt forward. Claws stretching, its pale mouth wide, the mother screamed, swinging her torch. But the strike missed, the creature slashed at her. Then the human lunged, his arm crashing into it, flames searing its skin. The beast shrieked and melted back into the dark. The mother gasped, staring at him. He had thrown himself between her and death, his body marked with a fresh cut, blood running down his arm. But he did not stop, his voice harsh. "Keep moving." Her hate cracked again, replaced with something she had no word for, a feeling she had never thought she could feel for a human. Not trust, not yet, but something close. The forest grew thicker, their torches flickered. The whispers grew louder. The hunters circled, pressing them like wolves. Her wings brushed branches, her claws ached. Her child's weight grew heavy, but she would not stop. At last the trees opened, ruins rose before them. Stone-broken walls leaning, a place old and forgotten. But strong, the air shifted. Heavy with history, the human led her inside. Down into cracks and halls where the moonlight barely reached. Where shadows grew deep but the whispers faded. The hunters hissed at the edges, circling but not crossing. Their pale eyes glared, but they did not enter. The mother pressed her back against the stone. Her breath ragged, her baby quiet now, soothed by her song. Her eyes wide as she realized they had survived. At least for this moment, the human slumped to the ground. His arm bleeding, his chest heaving, he still held the torch. But his hand shook, his strength fading. The mother stared at him, her claws trembling, her heart still wild. "You could have left me," she whispered. "You could have saved yourself. But you did not." The human's eyes lifted, tired but steady. "No one should lose their child the way I lost mine," he said, his voice low, his truth breaking through the dark. The words struck her like a blade, her breath caught. Her tears rose again. She saw not a monster before her, but a parent, scarred and broken, who carried her child through death to life. She lowered her torch, her voice soft but fierce. "Then you are no enemy. Not tonight, not while my daughter breathes." The human bowed his head, his hand pressing the wound. The ruins echoed with silence. The hunters outside hissed but did not enter, waiting, watching, their hunger alive. The mother rocked her baby. Her song soft, her heart torn, her world changed. She sat in shadows with the one she once hated most, now the only one she could trust. And as the ruins held them, as the hunters circled, as the baby breathed against her chest, she knew this was not the end. This was only the pause before the storm. The alliance had begun, born not of choice but of survival, carved in scars and fire, sealed by the cry of a child who refused to vanish. The ruins were silent, but the silence carried danger. Outside, the hunters circled, their pale eyes glowing like cold moons, their whispers sliding along the stone, promises of pain, songs of hunger. The mother held her baby close, rocking her gently, her voice a trembling lullaby. The same song she had sung to an empty cradle, but now sung to life. The human leaned against the wall, his torch burning low, his arm bleeding, his breath ragged, but his eyes sharp, watching every shadow. He knew they could not wait forever. The hunters would strike again, stronger, fiercer. They would not let their prey slip away. The mother's claws shook. Her wings brushed the stone, her voice low. "We cannot stay, they will come, they will break these walls." The human nodded, his face grim. "Then we make our stand," he said. "Not hiding, not running, we fight together, here, now." Until one side breaks, the baby whimpered, her small hand pressing against her mother's skin, her tiny voice like a spark. The mother kissed her forehead, her tears falling, then placed her gently in a corner of the ruins, safe in the shadows, wrapped in cloth. "Stay," she whispered, her voice soft. "Your mother will return, your song will not end tonight." The human pushed himself to his feet, gripping a broken stone in one hand, the dying torch in the other. He looked at her, his eyes meeting hers. "When they come, they will go for the child first. We cannot let them." Her claws flexed, her voice fierce. "Then they meet fire and blood before they touch her." The ruins shook as the hunters pressed forward, their whispers rising into screams. Pale shapes slid through cracks, claws scraping against stone, eyes gleaming. Then they came fast, many. Like shadows with teeth, the mother roared, swinging her torch, flames bursting into the dark. The human charged beside her, his stone smashing into pale flesh. The hunters shrieked, their bodies twisting back, but more came, pouring like water. Endless, the battle raged, fire flashing, claws striking, stone shattering. The mother fought with fury, her wings sweeping, her claws tearing. Every cry of her baby behind her turned her fear into rage. The human fought with pain, his body broken but his spirit unyielding, his every strike a promise, his every breath a defiance. The hunters hissed, their voices sharp. "Give us the child, give us the life, give us the song," they whispered, their claws reaching, their shadows choking the ruins. The mother screamed back, her voice rising like thunder. "She is mine, she is life, you will never take her." Her torch flared, brighter, hotter, as if her fury fed the flame. The human stumbled, a hunter striking his chest, his blood spilling, but he did not fall. He swung again, his stone-cracking bone, his voice hoarse. "Stand. Do not stop." The mother saw him falter. Her heart clenched, she leapt to his side, her claws tearing into the hunter that struck him. She pulled him back, her wings shielding him. "You saved her," she whispered. "I will not let you fall." The hunters pressed, but the fire spread, the torches thrown, the ruins burning, the light growing stronger, the shadows weaker. The creatures shrieked, their bodies melting into smoke, their eyes fading. They could not hold against the blaze. One last hunter lunged, its claws aimed for the cradle where the baby lay. The mother's scream ripped the night. She flew forward, her torch striking, flames engulfing it. The creature shrieked, twisting, then vanished into ash. The ruins shook. The whispers fell silent. The pale eyes disappeared. The hunters were gone, driven back, broken by fire and will. The mother collapsed to her knees, her chest heaving, her claws trembling. The human dropped beside her, his blood dripping, his body weak but his eyes still alive. The baby cried, small but strong, the sound echoing in the ruins. Not fear now, but life pure and unbroken. The mother gathered her in her arms, kissing her face, her tears falling, her song rising, soft and steady. The lullaby no longer of loss, but of survival. She turned to the human, her eyes wet, her voice breaking. You carried her when I could not. You fought when I had no strength. You bled for what was not yours, but now is ours. I will never forget. The human smiled faintly, his body shaking. Then let her live, let her grow. That is enough, he whispered, his voice fading with exhaustion. The mother touched his hand, claws gentle, her voice firm. No, you are not only human now, you are part of her song, part of this cradle, part of us outside. The villagers crept closer, their torches trembling, their eyes wide. They had seen the fire. They had heard the battle. They had felt the hunters vanish. They entered the ruins and saw the mother, the baby safe, the human bleeding but alive, and their rage broke into silence. One by one they lowered their weapons, their voices soft with awe. The child lives, one whispered. The human saved her, another said. Perhaps the stories were wrong. The mother stood, her wings wide, her daughter held high, her voice strong. This night proves truth. Humans are not all monsters. The real monsters have pale eyes and steal our children. But tonight we stood together and we won. The villagers bowed their heads, their fear turning into respect, their hate into doubt, their silence into hope. The cradle back in the small stone house no longer stood empty. It rocked gently with life inside it. The lullaby no longer for memory, but for future. And in the shadows of the ruins an alliance was born. The mother looked at the human one last time, her eyes fierce but soft. Enemies can become family, she whispered, and for the first time in many seasons, the night felt alive with something stronger than fear, stronger than hate, stronger than death. It felt alive with hope.